September 1943. 6,000 feet over the Wan Gulf. A lone P-38 Lightning banks hard into a thunderhead while 6 Japanese Zeros close from behind. The pilot is 22 years old. His squadron mates called him naive. His commanding officer wrote him up twice for ignoring doctrine. Now he's attempting a maneuver that shouldn't exist. A turn so tight, so impossible for a twin-engine fighter that enemy pilots will mistake it for mechanical failure. They won't realize their mistake until it's too late. New Guinea in 1943 is not a Frontline. It's a fever dream wrapped in jungle and rain. The smell of aviation fuel mixes with rotting vegetation. Mosquitoes swarm thick enough to obscure instrument panels. Pilots sleep in tents that flood during monsoons. Wake 2 briefings held under tarps. And fly missions over an island that has already killed more men from disease than combat. The 5th Air Force operates from crude airstrips hacked out of kunai grass. Marston matting laid over mud. Ground crews work barefoot because boots rot through in days. Mechanics strip parts from wrecked aircraft because supply chains move slower than the war. Every mission is a gamble against weather, distance, and an enemy who knows the terrain better than any map. Japanese fighters rule the northern approaches, Zeros and Oscars flown by veterans of China and the Philippines. Men who learned combat when most American pilots were still in high school. They're lighter, more agile, capable of turning inside anything. They never dogfight a Zero. Use speed, an altitude boom, and zoom. Dive, fire, climb away, repeat. It's sound advice. Logical, built on physics and survival statistics. And for most pilots, it works. But doctrine assumes every aircraft behaves as designed. It assumes pilots follow the manual. It doesn't account for farm boys who grew up coaxing more out of machinery than engineers ever intended. The P-38 Lightning is a paradox. Twin engine, twin boom, heavy and fast. It can outrun almost anything at altitude and deliver devastating firepower from its nose-mounted guns. But it's not a dogfighter. The manual says so. Training officers say so. Combat veterans say so. It turns like a freight train, bleeds energy in hard banks, and if you try to muscle it into a tight turn at low speed, it'll snap into a spin that kills you before you can recover. So, the doctrine is simple. Stay fast. Stay high. Use your range and your guns. Don't try to turn with the enemy. It's good advice. Almost everyone follows it. Almost. If this history matters to you, tap like and subscribe. His name was Richard Bong. Born December 24, 1920 in Superior, Wisconsin. 3rd of 9 children. His father was a Swedish immigrant who worked the land and fixed farm equipment with wire and intuition. His mother taught school. The family lived on a stretch of flat country where winter came early and left late, where machinery either worked or you made it work because no one was coming to help. Bong grew up, elbow deep, in tractor engines. He learned early that manuals were guidelines, not gospels. A machine had tendencies, not limitations. You learned its moods, its balance points, the edge where performance lived just before failure. He flew his first airplane at 18. A friend's lead trainer, and felt immediately that the same logic applied. Weight, thrust, pressure, timing. It was just another machine, and every machine could give you more if you understood it deeply enough. He enlisted in May 1941, before the war began for America, but after it was clear where the world was heading, flight training at places with names like Thunderbird Field and Luke. He was quiet, polite, and average in most respects. Instructors noted good reflexes and adequate gunnery. Nothing exceptional. No red flags. He graduated and received his wings in January 1942, 1 month after Pearl Harbor. Then the trouble started. Not from defiance or arrogance, from curiosity. He flew low over a friend's house in California and got written up. He barrel rolled over the Golden Gate Bridge and earned a reprimand. His superiors labeled him reckless. He didn't see it that way. He was testing limits, learning what the aircraft would tolerate and where the margin really was. Every stunt taught him something the manual didn't mention. How the P-38 felt on the edge of a stall, how much rudder it took to snap the nose around, how the props torqued differently depending on throttle and angle. It wasn't showboating. It was research, but the Army Air Forces didn't see it that way. They sent him to the Pacific in September 1942, assigned to the 49th Fighter Group, New Guinea, the place where young pilots went to learn or die. His squadron mates were older, harder veteran pilots who'd survived the Philippines retreat and Java. They viewed Bong with polite skepticism. A kid from Wisconsin who'd buzzed bridges and hadn't seen combat. They called him farm boy sometimes to his face. It wasn't cruel, just descriptive. He didn't talk much, didn't gamble or drink heavily, spent his downtime writing letters home or walking the aerostrip perimeter watching mechanics work. He was likable, but no one expected much. His first kills came in December 1942. 2 zeros during a bomber escort mission. Clean by the book engagements. Boom and Sum, the squadron congratulate him, standard work. Then in January, during a low-level sweep, something shifted. Azira got on his tail during a strafing run. Bong should have used power, extended, escaped. Instead, he pulled into a climbing turn, tighter than the manual recommended, tighter than training allowed. The P-38 shuddered, buffeted on the edge of a stall. The Zero followed, confident. Then Bong rolled out, snap turned using rudder and differential throttle, and the Zero flashed past his nose. 3 seconds of gunfire. The enemy fighter disintegrated. It was instinct, or intuition, or farm boy logic applied at 4,000 feet. His wingman reported it as luck. Bong said nothing, but he filed the maneuver await. At work, that meant it was repeatable. By mid-1943, the air war over New Guinea had become a mathematics problem no one could solve. American bombers needed fighter escort to survive. Japanese interceptors needed to break through the escorts to kill the bombers. Both sides knew the equation. The side with better fighters, better tactics, or better luck would win. The Zero remained variable that tilted everything. Mitsubishi's A6M was a masterpiece of minimalist design. Light, maneuverable, flown by pilots trained in brutal, unforgiving schools. Turning fight. A Zero could outcircle anything America fielded. P-40 segundo, P-39 segundos, even the new P-38 South. Physics didn't lie. A lighter aircraft with lower wing loading could turn tighter. Period. So, American doctrine became rigid. Never dogfight. Use altitude, speed, teamwork. Dive on the enemy. Fire. Climb back to safety. Rinse and repeat. It worked mostly, but it meant conceding the vertical fight. Conceding slow speed maneuverability. Conceding any scenario where you couldn't dictate terms. It meant flying scared. And it meant that any time bombers got jumped at low altitude or escorts were separated or whether forced everyone down into the weeds, American pilots died. Commanders knew it. Intelligence knew it. Everyone knew it. The solution wasn't mystery. Build a lighter fighter or train pilots longer or overwhelm the enemy with numbers. But lighter fighters were years away. Pilot training took time the war wouldn't give, and numbers didn't help much when 600 could tie up 20 P-38s just by forcing them into defensive turns. Meanwhile, pilots kept dying, not dramatically, whoosed steadily. A fighter lost here, to there, parachutes over jungle where rescue never came. MTCS intense, letters home written by squadron mates. The losses were sustainable statistically. The air forces could replace pilots faster than they fell. But sustainability isn't victory, and the men doing the dying knew the difference. Bong was among them, flying mission after mission through that summer. By August, he had 12 confirmed kills, enough to make ace twice over, enough to earn respect. But respect didn't change doctrine. And doctrine still said the P-38 couldn't. He didn't argue, didn't write reports or challenge briefings, but he kept testing. On every mission, in every engagement, he pushed a little further into the margins. Tighter turns, slower speeds, steeper climbs. He learned that the P-38 had a quirk, a narrow band of speed and power where it could do things it wasn't supposed to. If you kept the throttles uneven, used rudder aggressively, and rode the edge of stall buffet without crossing it, the big twin-engine fighter could snap around nearly as fast as a single-engine plane. Not quite as tight as a Zero, but close enough that geometry started to matter more than turn radius. He didn't tell anyone. There was nothing to tell yet, just a theory, a feeling, the kind of knowledge you carry in your hands and spine, not your head. He needed proof. and proof required the right circumstances.